Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of TCG Talk, back to do another video, and in today's video we're going to be going over my Katsu list for the ProQuest season. As you can see on the screen, it is a Switchboard list with both Edge of Autumn and Kadachi. We're going to talk about it, why I chose to do this, and hopefully give you some insight and maybe a baseline so you can then make some alterations based off your local meta and what you're thinking about doing for the ProQuest season. If you're new to the channel, welcome. Thank you so much for stopping by. Hopefully you enjoy your stay. If you're a long-staying supporter, thank you so much as always. Feel free to check out the Discord down below as well as the channel membership if you so choose, if you want to support the channel a different way, but if not, it's completely fine. And also the creator worksheet as well. So we'll get right into it for a quick 1-minute tangent if you're okay with it. For anyone who's in my Discord, obviously you saw the announcement of me potentially stopping Flesh and Blood content for the near future, and then kind of went back on that a day or two later. The reason for that is, obviously we're making a Flesh and Blood video right now. The reason for that is the amount of positive feedback that I received from people was just kind of overwhelming. It was like 10-20 people reaching out, which is a lot for me, like personally talking about content and stuff like that, of just people like either they were trying to entice me to continue to make content for various reasons, or they were just sharing a story with how they got into the game through my Katsu stuff specifically, and it really motivated me. And when I combine that with being able to take like a full 10 days off and spend time with Reagan and have our wedding and everything, it was just awesome, and it was really healthy for me. And a lot of the videos you've been seeing over the last week were preloaded for Grand Archive. So moving forward, I'm definitely going to still be making Flesh and Blood content. So short of it, it really put things in perspective and reminded me why I love doing this. And I really appreciate y'all a lot. I'll be doing Flesh and Blood content all week. We have a PQ list for Arachne, for Katsu. We're doing some meta roll-ups. I'm going to be doing some matchup guides with classes, all that kind of stuff, as well as some Grand Archive content because I am loving that game as well. So hopefully, thank y'all so much. If you want to continue to watch the channel, you will see Flesh and Blood content. No worries there. Tangent done though. We'll get here what you all came here for, which is the Katsu list. So I ended up going with a Switchboard list with both Edge of Autumn and Kadachi. And I want to address that first before we get into the decision points and why I did what I did. We're going to matchups here. What I found since I've started playing, I'll go to my list really fast. This is my list. I've done 28 games with the final version, but I've probably done over 100 games with Tempest as a whole. As you can see, doing pretty decent in Verdance, doing really good in Gravy. Florian's still rough as crap, but I've been really trying to focus on certain matchups, doing good in Syndra and Fang, stuff like that. So what I'm finding is into matchups like aggro mirrors, like Syndra and Phi, right? I'm just going to give random ones. Dio. Speaking of which, we're doing this live. I forgot to put that in there. I literally did earlier and then forgot to save it. Dio, any aggro matchup where you're not really worrying about a ton of defense reactions and you really just have to make the most of every point of damage possible, Edge is still the better choice. When it comes to these grindy matchups like Earth and Guardian, Kasai, like any two-handed warrior, even Prism, even though it is a race, you need to be able to go wider. Gravy Bones, you need to go wider. Ira, stuff like that. Kadachi's is just better value. With the addition of Tempest Palm Gust Wave and being able to turn this on Chainlink 3 as basically a starter into Bonds of Ancestry, as well as just a good mid-range piece, it is made Kadachi's almost mainboarded. I guarantee you if I made this video 2 or 3 weeks from now, it would probably just be a Kadachi list, just because of the way I like to play. I think it's better. You need that chip damage against these kind of heroes, because in these really grindy matchups into Earth Guardian, Kasai, stuff like that, Florian, or just, yeah, Earth Guardian, Kasai, you really need to get that chip damage down, because you're basically playing like Kano. You're blocking a little bit, sitting a little bit, blocking a little bit, sitting a little bit, and you're trying to get to like this game state where your opponent's in the mid to low 20s, ideally teens, but we can handle mid to low 20s, and then you're looking for that big double bonds turn or that big retrace to pass turn where you're dealing hopefully around 25-30 damage. On a really good turn, you're dealing like 30 to 35 damage, right? I've seen as high as 40, but that's like Christmas Land, and you're trying to basically push through all your opponent's blocks that turn. And even if they can block like 16 or so, you're still dealing like 25, 30 when they're at, mid 20s. And at the very worst for you, you're dealing 10 to 12 damage through all of their blocks and armor, potentially even 15 to 20, and then putting them in a game state where you can just chip them down with Kodachis and kill them. Whereas in the edge, you really just want to make the most of every point of value, really be able to use Seek and Enact very efficiently and go from there. But if you're using edge into matchups like Earth, like Guardian, like Asai, you just can't chip down well enough in order to put them in that combo range. You need kind of like that ability to do that. And Kodachis really do facilitate that, and they make Tempest Palm Gustwave in those matchups a lot more consistent. So that being said, kind of where I'm at, I just had it on the edge version. This is the standard. I'm going to go over the equipment and then go over some of the choices of what I had. So equipment, what doesn't come out unless we're on AB1 for Vincent is Breeze Rider Boots, Heart and Cross Strap, and Links. I have done away with Mask of Momentum. I have done away with Tunic. And I've done away with everything past AB1. The reason I got rid of Mask of Momentum was 50-50. One half was because of sideboard slots. If I'm going to do the switchboard list, I need to dedicate a good amount of slots for it. So because of that, something had to be cut. And Momentum was really only in for Prism and Gravy anyway. It's like how I enjoyed playing against those decks. But we still can run Links just fine into them. Prism's a little bit trickier, but you have to be smart. It's kind of like a cat mouse game with them, but it's still fine. Heart and Cross Strap is just so good. I tried using Tunic, and I love using Tunic in certain situations, but this card's just so good. It helps you steal tempo back when you need to. It helps you keep tempo whenever you draw like a clunky hand with a Surging Strike, like 4 reds. You can even still play it out. All that, this, that, and the other. Card's just too good. And then Breeze Rider Boots for obvious reasons. When it comes to the equipment in the sideboard, at the boots, we're running Tide Flippers. I really only run these into Vincent. I don't run them into Acilio. I don't run them into Verdance or Kano. I don't run them into Florian because you're just trying to kill them. And Breeze Rider Boots enables that, right? It enables those double bond turns. It enables your ability to play like a funky retrace to pass line turn and really push a lot of damage. So if it's not been set, these don't come in. That's just how it is right now. At the arm piece, we have Breaking Scales and Okana. Whenever we're on the mid-range Kodachi package, we want to put Breaking Scales in because Okana's a vanilla 2 block, if not. And then for the Edge package, we're on Okana. And then we have Edge of Autumn and Kodachi, so that's obvious. Outside of that, we have 52 cards in the main board. These are cards that never come out no matter what. The only time one of these does come out is McGinty comes out in the Acilio matchup specifically. I think it's McGinty, or it's in the Edge. It's in Edge. So one McGinty comes out for Edge, but other than that, these 52 cards are pretty consistent. It's all the usual suspects. I will answer a few questions I commonly see in the Discord. One question I commonly see is, why is 100 Winds still in the deck? It's a 0-for-3 starter, for one. It's a combo card, so it does combo with Ancestral Harmony, which is very, very nice when you hit this off the top with Ancestral Harmony. Being a 0-for-4 go again, it combos with itself. It kind of just fills every single wicket that you want, right? Sorry, my dog Zeus is having a dream. I was making sure he wasn't freaking out. So that's that. The other thing is Flusterfist. I see a lot of people say, like, why do you run this? Well, most people know by now that when you couple it with, like, Retrace to Pass, right? Like, if you can play, like, into a Tempest Palm Gustwave, into a Retrace to Pass, you name, Open the Center, and then you play Flusterfist. It's basically like a really good Salt Wound. At the end of the day, though, even if you can't get that off, it's a 0-for-4 combo card that blocks 3. It fills every single wicket you want to do. On a big Ancestral Harmony turn, when you pop Breeze Rider Boots, it's a 0-for-5. Potentially more if you can retrace to past it. It just does everything you want to do. So it's really not ever going to come out. We did go down to 2 Descendant Gustwave yellows because of the Tempest Palm Gustwave edition. I am on the McGinty package. This is where it's a me thing. I do think that the McGinty package is the most useful it has ever been right now. I think it's better in a Kodachi version, which is why we have 2 in the Kodachi sideboard plan, and we only have 1 in the Edge sideboard plan, because you can just do some dumb stuff. The most damage I've ever done with this list was on a Retrace to Pass on like Chainlink 8 off Ancestral Harmony into a McGinty release. Just really, really dumb stuff. So I really do enjoy it. And honestly, Katsu without McGinty release, in my opinion, isn't Katsu. That's a me thing, right? So if you want to replace this, it's completely fine. You know, throw in some more Descendant Gust Waves in there, maybe one more of that. And then with your one additional slot, maybe you can throw in like your third Legacy of Ikaru if you're on an edge list or whatever the case may be. But that's kind of where that is. Tempest Palm Gust Wave, we talked about this in previous videos. Definitely go check those out. It's like 2 weeks ago when I was talking about this card like more in depth on the lines you can do. This card's just dumb. It allows you to go straight into Bonds of Ancestry on like Chain Link 3 or 4 very fluidly. It allows you to loop Bonds of Ancestries together without having to pop Breeze Outer Boots. It does some really, really good stuff. It's a 0 for 5, very overrate card off of like Kodachi surging that or Edge surging this. Really, really good. Love it. And then the blues are pretty standard. Nothing's crazy. The only big thing is having Lord of Winds because I'm on McGinty. Other than that, the only one of note is Legacy of Ikaru. This card is just a +1 reaction when we're on the Kodachi plan, and we're only on 2 of. But it comes in a pinch sometimes if you need to like guarantee an on hit. You can arsenal the card, and then you basically have a lunging press in your arsenal, which can be really nice. And then we're running 1 Salt the Wound because we are on the Lynx plan fully now. When it comes to the sideboard, we have 2 different plans mainly, right? Acilio's over here. I'll talk about that in a second. So Edge, what we're doing is we are bringing in the Seek Vengeance card, 3 Seek Vengeances. We're bringing in 3 Enact Vengeance. We're taking out a McGinty. Let me make sure I'm doing this right. Yeah, we're putting in 3 Enact. For Edge. We're putting in 3 Seek Vengeance. We're putting in 3 Enlightened Strike. And then we're putting in Okana Edge and then taking out McGinty Release, putting us at 60. Enlightened Strike I like having in on both Kodachi and Edge because it allows you to have, you know, just some good mid-range plays when you need to do it. And it's just all around a good card. Whereas in Kodachi, we are going up. We're putting Command and Conquer in instead of Enact Vengeance. We're still putting Enlightened Strike in. And then we're putting in 2 Tenacities, keeping the McGinty Releases in. Go for a much more mid-range style deck, playing for that big like Ancestral Harmony turn or whatever the case may be. The only difference one is Acilio. Acilio, we're on an Edge plan. The only difference is instead of the Enlightened Strikes and taking out McGinty, we keep the McGinty's in and we just put in Weakest Link to help combat that a little bit. You also can put this in a gravy if you want. I have some pesky Acilio. I have a very, very, very good Acilio in my local area that I have to tech for. So I have a little bit of Weakest Link tech in there. But if you want to not have that in there and you want to have like a Blanche for Prism or whatever the case may be, totally fine. Also on the Kodachi game plan, I do have Flick Flack in the list. I've used this against Kasai. I use this against Guardian. For me specifically, I just hedge it in and run 63 cards. That is like a cardinal sin to a lot of people, and that's completely fine. I don't mind running 63 cards in Katsu. You burn through cards like wildfire in Katsu. So I don't mind running over 60 cards, especially if I'm playing in Kodachi where I'm playing kind of like that Kano combo-esque style of deck where I don't mind like slowing the game down. I don't mind having to like not see everything right away. It's completely fine. So I do run Flick Flacks in Kasai and Kasai, and I don't run into Syndra. I mean, it's mainly into Kasai. I do run the Guardian. I run the Guardian regardless because just to be able to park a card in Arsenal. But it's very simple. When it comes to the sideboard, the one thing I wanted to bring up is this seems like a lot of work for just the Switchboard package, and I understand that. The thing that I approach is Katsu used to be able, way back in the day, Katsu, as I'm sitting here shuffling my Katsu deck that I just sleeved, Katsu had the ability to like be a little bit more toolboxy with his sideboard plan. You know, he used to run like Reinforce the Lines and Sinks and Flick Flacks and Poppers and all this other stuff, right? But now Katsu, because of all the addition of all the Gust Waves with Tempest and Second Wind and Bonds coming back and all this other stuff, if you're not doing that or playing to that, there's no reason to play Katsu. Like, you need to play to the core concept of what the deck does. The deck's not an IRA, right? You can't like have erase faces and humbles and all sort of stuff. Like, even me having weakest link in here is a little bit sus at times. Even into a Cilio where it's like the most useful, because I just want to be doing all this stuff. So basically my sideboard allows me to play two different main boards of Katsu, two different main boarded versions of Katsu in one deck, and help me play towards a win con depending on who I'm playing against without having to be too techy, if that makes sense. I hopefully that like registers in people's brain. It's me wanting to play two versions of the deck in one, without having a bunch of different tech pieces. It's just like two Katsu decks in one, so to speak. And both of them have a very core game plan on what they're trying to do, but they're not getting too off the walls to where now you're starting to do too many things at once, which in today's world for Katsu is not that good. But yeah, that's the list. Funny enough, my list private. The only difference is I have 2 Enlightened Strikes in a standing order because during my traveling to my wedding, I took my cards with me because we were playing at Reaper Games and Denton, and we also was playing with Reagan's family. Her family plays a little bit of Flesh and Blood tabletop for fun, and I somehow lost an Enlightened Strike. I just ordered another one because I need the third one, but for right now I have my third staying order. But yeah, I've been doing pretty good with the list so far. Verdance, I'm not saying Verdance is favored by any means. Don't like take a look at this and be like me saying like, oh, Verdance is fine. Verdance is still unfavored. It's very difficult. I have found a way and an out with the deck, being able to apply good pressure with the Kadachi plan and really threaten their life total quickly. But it's very difficult, right, if you have a very talented Verdance. The cool thing about Katsu is actually in a pretty good spot, in my opinion, because you look at the top 4 most winning decks of Week 1 of ProQuest season. Gravy Bones, Syndra, Verdance, Florian. Florian sucks. No way around it. Gravy Bones, you're heavily favored, in my opinion. Syndra, you were favored, in my opinion. Verdance is just barely unfavored, and then you have 1 unfavored. So the top 4 decks, you have 1 unfavored matchup, 1 slightly unfavored matchup, and then 2 favored matchups. Pretty good, right? So, and then into decks like KO, right, and Fang, you do pretty good into. You do good into like these other like small decks that are coming up in the format. So I feel really good about Katsu as a whole in the format, and he had 2 wins in Week 1 of ProQuest season. So we'll talk about that again tomorrow at the time you're watching this video. But hopefully this gives you a good starting point. If there's something on here you disagree with, completely fine. ProQuest season is so hyper specific on like what your meta is and like what you're trying to tech into and like what card choices you do based off that definitely makes some changes. I know for me, McGinty is a very personal taste of mine, and I know things like Weakest Link are very specific. So if you have a difference in opinion, definitely copy this list, make those changes as needed, and let me know how your ProQuest goes. I have a ProQuest on Sunday at 11 at the end games. I am going to attempt to make it. I work the night before that because I work night shift, so I get off at like 8:30 and I have to go back into work at 10:30 at night. So like my only hope is to like stay up and play at the ProQuest until like 5 and then take a nap afterwards, which might be rough. So it's like a 50-50 chance if I go. I am going to try to go though, because I want to play. I'm debating between Katsu and Huntsman. They are both like so equally fun right now, and I enjoy them both. I actually think if I'm thinking just like pure competitiveness, I have a better shot on Katsu because I know I can exploit the Syndra and Gravy Bones matchups. And for Huntsman, I think Huntsman has a better matchup into all of the field, but they have a worse matchup into like Syndra, Gravy, and probably Verdance, which is what Katsu, has the edge on. So we'll have to see. But yeah, definitely let me know what your thoughts are down below. I'd love to hear it. And again, I will continue to make Flesh and Blood content. Please, if you watch the channel, don't be discouraged. I will continue to feed y'all some good stuff. Definitely let me know what you want to see in the future moving forward. Like I said, this week we have this Katsu video, we have the Arachne PQ video, we have the meta roll-up, and we have some Katsu versus Guardian, Katsu versus Earth type meta matchup stuff. So hopefully I can give you some insight, at least how I approach the matchups, and give you some good feedback. So thank y'all so much. Y'all have a great rest of your day. Please be kind to each other. If you like this type of content, please leave a like, comment, or subscribe. If not me, it's completely fine. Go to Nerd Creator, leave a like, comment, subscribe on their stuff. Let's get more people seeing this game, and I'll see y'all next time on TCG Talk. Thank y'all so much.